So, Mr. Jack, Infinity's Flower, Tale of 2012, and the Great Shift of the Ages. Do you want to give us a little reading on that shift and how it all affects us?
May I just can you hear me? Okay. May I just kind of follow up on where we're at here?
Absolutely.
What we're talking about now.
Take it.
Because as is usually the case with me, I'm probably going to give a little bit of a different read on things than everybody, but that's the way it's always been, so we may as well keep on going.
That's why it's a horse race.
A little bit of it, as I'm listening to this, one of the things I'm thinking is it reminds me how I am one 2012 scholar, if I can be called that, who really doesn't focus a whole lot on dates, because I find them to be a distraction. I really focus only on one date, and December 21st, 2012 seems to be that was the ending of the Mayan calendar, and that's all of the prophecies that I've studied and read and those sorts of things seem to point, as far as I know, the Mayans were really the only ones that had a date where a calendar ended, where there was a specific point date where something was predicted to happen, the ending of one world and the beginning of another. It seems to me, my understanding is that all the other prophecies that I've and by prophecies, I'm referring primarily to indigenous prophecies, things like that. I know very little about Nostradamus and those sorts of things. Native American prophecies, Hopis, prophecies from indigenous cultures, South America, Africa, those sorts of things. And they all say the same thing. They all point to this time in general, not as a point on a date, but as a general window of time around 2012. And it also seems very clear to me that my understanding of the shift is that basically we're dealing with a 26,000-year cycle. We've gotten to the point on the 26,000-year wheel where we're back at that turnover point. We're at this window around the 2012 date. And the other thing that seems pretty clear to me, and I'm certain to everybody in the audience here, and there's a lot of scientific evidence to support that, is that this shifting of the Earth's vital energy fields, which is what this is all about, has already started. It's begun. And here we are in the beginning of 2009. And as far as my understanding of it and the way that I live in relationship to this is that's really all that matters. And when we get into dates, then, the only date that really matters is today. And as far as what we do about the shift, I know when I hear these types of discussions, which begin to have a kind of a doomsday flavor to them in terms of all the terrible things that are going to happen, I tend to kind of switch them out a little bit. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it because my read on this and my focus on this is really only on one thing, and that is A, that the shift is happening, it's happening now, and our calling as human beings, what we can do as human beings about this in terms of doing something about it, taking the steps we need to take to create the new world, really all boils down to some very, very simple things. And it boils down really to two. And I'm going to repeat what Sean David said when he read the introduction of my book. The primary source of our protection in these monumental times of earth changes, and we are already embarked in a monumental journey through tremendous earth changes, tremendous paradigm shifts. That's what it's all about. The primary source of our protection in these times of earth changes, the primary source of our power to create the new world, to complete this ascensional process from third dimension to fifth dimension, this energetic ascension, primary source of our protection, the primary source of our power is our higher consciousness and our spirituality. And I've gotten to the point myself in terms of my own living of this, where that's really where I focus and that's really where I attempt to stay and that's really what I attempt to teach in terms of what we as human beings can do about this. And I know very often people get frightened when they start thinking about the future and all the terrible things that are going to happen, et cetera, et cetera. And what people need to hear is just really that one thing. What can I do? What can we do? Well, it all starts within the heart, and it all starts within the spirit of each and every one of us, and it all starts now.
Amen. Amen. There you go.
And that is the primary source of my ability to overcome. I get afraid too. We had horrible rains last June in Wisconsin, where the waters were rising. We're starting to think about moving and building boats and all that kind of stuff. So I know what it's like to feel fear in relationship to earth changes. I know what it's like to feel fear in terms of paradigm changes. It sometimes scares me that the old paradigm's coming down, and it is, gang. It's coming down, and it's a blessing. It is an absolute blessing that the old paradigm's coming down. That scares me. I like my pizza. I like my dish TV. I don't want to. I don't want to. There's a part of me that clings to the. Oh gosh, is this my last playoff game? Because if the infrastructure comes down, I'm not going to be able to do it. That frightens me. I'm not comfortable with that. But I can console myself very easily, very readily, by just returning to my spiritual base in terms of it's all about my spirituality. It's all about my higher consciousness. That's my primary weapon. That's my primary tool. And that's the message I'm trying to get out.
Amen.
And for anybody who feels helpless in relationship to these things, or fear in relationship to these things, that's really all that they need to hear. Because we really don't need to be focusing on anything else. And if we are going to create the new world, that's how we're going to do it.
There we go. And the world's going to end when Jack stops paying his cable bill, ladies and gentlemen. There you go. So.